The next question is for candidate Topar. What do you mean by assisted living center in El Segundo?
I think that our Park Vista is a great facility, but there is a very long waiting list for Park Vista. And I think as our seniors get a little bit older and need a little bit more care, that this would be a good facility to try to get into our town so that the people can stay living in our town even though they may need a little extra care. I would hate to see that because they got older and needed some assistance that they had to leave the town that they were raised in, born in, and grew elderly in. And that's what I would hope to move in that direction.
Thank you. Other comments or rebuttals to that?
Yes.
Okay, candidate Brown.
I'd just like to clarify that I also would support an assisted living facility here in the city, but I'd emphasize that it should be a private facility and it should not be an expansion of the services available at Park Vista, which are designed to meet a particular niche of our citizens.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Jacobson.
Yes, assisted living is the next step after Park Vista. Park Vista takes our lower income people and gives them a good base for living, but they have to take care of themselves. I've been working with one private company to develop a private operation here in El Segundo that I think would benefit the schools and the city by having them be able to go into the assisted part of it. My mom was in it for quite a while recently, and it's a very useful and very needed facility.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, candidate Burns.
I support the assisted living center. My mother-in-law had cancer, and we spent a good deal of time in Torrance. One issue, though, that I think is important for the city is assisted living centers represent a special needs population, and we need to look at, when we bring these facilities, the proper support for our special needs and other residents. My disaster background as an emergency manager, there's problems in those situations that I brought to the council on many occasions, the need for us to have special needs representatives and seniors represented on our disaster council. And I think the city needs to bring those types of representatives and stakeholders in the community to help assist in the decisions and support for assisted living facilities before we do it, because I think it will give us much more support and a foundation for improved planning.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, candidate Grigoni.
We might as well make this go around. I want to just, for the record, say that I do support assisted living, another complex for our seniors. But one way to approach it would to investigate a private-public partnership to help offset the cost. I think that is a viable a way of trying to provide for our seniors, and I think it's a very important issue.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Next question is for candidate Brand. It says you were a strong supporter of the private Vista Mar School. Do you think it benefited students of El Segundo?
Well, not too much, because I understand only 1 or 2 students who live in El Segundo attend that school. It is an independent school. It has a pretty healthy tuition. I believe in parent choice, and the more opportunities or alternatives for parents, the better. So I was glad to see Vistamar come to the city or the area here and provide a choice for those parents who feel it's a good match for their students or their children's needs.
Okay, any follow-up or rebuttal for that? Okay, we'll move on to a question for candidate Jacobson. Do you believe the current fire department staffing levels are adequate, or are they overstaffed, understaffed, regarding 4 persons on our fire truck and engine 33?
That staffing has come about through negotiations over the years. We'll never have enough for a major disaster, but then we can't have our staffing too low. It's a difficult point to where you are proper on the staffing. Four people on a truck gives more flexibility when we have multiple calls. So I think we're pretty good right where we're at.
Okay. Any other candidates? Have a candidate Bush.
Thank you, John. I believe strongly that we are at the proper staffing levels for our fire department. And the reason I believe that is it allows us to have a paramedic on each of our engines, which gives us more capability. I personally got a chance to see our paramedics and our police department assist a friend of mine just a week ago. And I tell you, we are some of the luckiest people in the South Bay because of the quality of care that we get from our police and firefighters.
Okay, candidate Burns.
I would support the 4. 4 is an important number to remember. Many people may not realize that with the NFPA rules and others, there's a 4 in and 4 out rule. So when that first engine rolls in, there's 4 people on the engine. And then when the other engine rolls in, there's 4 people. That allows 4 firefighters to go in and 4 to be ready in case there's an emergency. And that's essential for those types. There's a 2 in, 2 out rule too. But that 2 in, 2 out and those others with that 4 is important to have there. And I think that the fact is El Segundo being in a unique staffing situation needs assistance from mutual aid agencies on any major fire in town. So the 4 firefighters on the engine gives them a very good attempt to go in the first initial attack and wait for the other units to arrive. So it's a very essential service.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to a question for our city clerk candidate, candidate Hart. The city clerk's position has been designated as a half-time position for many years and receiving full benefits. Do you see a conflict with the current city clerk working as a full-time clerk in another city?
Do I see a conflict?
Yes.
I don't understand the question.
Well, I'm not sure what to say. Do you, as a part-time
I have a
position?
conflict with her working for another city, yes.
Yes.
But
That's what I said.
yes, definitely I consider that a
Okay.
conflict. I consider that it's awfully hard to serve 2 entities with, especially, in some respects, I won't say they're in competition, but they're, yes, I do find a conflict.
Okay? We'll take it at that. Okay, we'll go on to the next round of questions. And we'll start with a question for candidate Burns. The city business license used to be indexed for inflation. That stopped about 10 plus years ago. The only way to increase business license is now with more employees. Would you keep this the same or change it? Did I read that clear enough for you?
Well, from what I'm hearing, I think you're looking at the planning department and how the business permit process is issued.
No, let me start the time over again. I may not have read that question clear enough. The city business license used to be indexed for inflation. And that stopped about 10 plus years ago. Now the only way to have an increase in your business license is if you have more employees. Would you keep it the same or would you change it?
Honestly, I really don't feel I can answer the question. I don't understand it well enough to address whether we're talking about fee increases or staffing increases.
Okay. Yes, candidate Bush.
I strongly believe that our business license fee should be indexed to inflation, not to increase it, but just to keep it in pace. But in 40 years, that business license fee is going to evaporate because it'll be gone. And we have to take up that lost tax revenue somewhere else. Now, over the last 4 years, we've been doing it by increasing our business base, which has been very effective. But in 40 years or less, essentially, we won't have a business license fee because it won't ever be indexed. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jacobson.
Yes. If any changes in those fees are made, it does have to go to the vote of the people. So when it's needed for some purpose, which I don't see in the near future or really very far in the future, we'll need to change that, but it would have to go to the vote of the people.
Okay, any other candidates want to comment or rebut? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to